How many miles? And number 9, to the nearest mile, how far did the plane fly?
782.
How many?
782.
Everybody get 782? How many did you get?
690.
690. What'd you get, Brenda?
I don't know what I did. I got 895.
What'd you get?
334. I don't see everybody
And
got
what'd you
big
get?
numbers.
211.
How much?
211.
So my thought is that you guys need more work than just on decimals. I think you need work on your multiplication facts. Did you all multiply it, first of all?
Yeah.
Did you all multiply 394 times 1.75? All right. 394 times 1.75. 5 times 4 is what?
20.
You're not sure? 2 people sure?
20.
20. 9 times 5 is
45.
45 plus 2? 47. 5 times 3? 15 plus 4? 19. 7 times 4 is 28. 7 times 9 is 63 plus 2? 65. 7 times 3 is 21 plus 6? 1 times 4? 1 times 9? 1 times 3? 0 plus nothing else? 7 plus 8? 1 plus 9? 10 plus 5? 15 plus 4? 1 plus 1? 2 plus 7? 9 plus 9? 1 plus 2? 3 plus 3? And it said round off to the nearest whole mile, which would be here. This 5 would change this 9 to 10, which would make it 690. Where did people go wrong?
I placed my last one, the last 3 on the
Under
yeah,
the 7?
wrong. The
Under the
4 I
wrong
placed
row?
it under the 8.
Oh, you started
Yeah.
there. And see, and that can happen. It can happen. Now, the good thing about it is that for those, they told you could use a calculator, and it would have been better if you had. But sometimes you won't be able to. You gotta be careful. Remembering, in math, keeping things lined up is very important. And so you have to know that when you multiply by the 5, your answers start under the 5. When you now start multiplying by the 7 or the 10s, your answer has to start in the 10s column. So a lot of teachers teach to put a 0 in that 1s column, now you're going to the 10s, you see. Or put an X there so you know not to start under your 1s, you gotta start under your 10s. And then when you multiply, well, there are 10s down here because we're forgetting that we're not gonna worry about the decimal point until the end. Then when you go over to your hundreds place, you gotta start your answer under there. So keeping your numbers lined up will help with that so that you know this should start under here, this should start under here, and this should start under here. And that way, because it will, if the number is in the wrong place, you're going to come up with the wrong answer. Okay? Did you see where you made your mistake, Blake?
No, I didn't even check into it. I'm
Okay.
sure I just added something wrong.
Yeah, because you followed this procedure, you just probably got some wrong numbers somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, what about number 10? How many hours of overtime did she work? What did you have to do to figure that out? Divide, because she got this check for $269.70 for overtime, and we know she made $18.60 every hour. And they want to know how many hours. Every time you can take $18.60 out of that $269.70, that's another hour of work, right? And anytime you can see yourself taking out the same number over and over again, you are dividing by that number. So we are dividing the $269.70 by the $18.60. And it says didn't ask to round off, how many hours did she work?
14. 14 and a half.
14.5, very good, 14.5 you should have gotten. Anybody have problems with that one? If you did, speak up. Okay, remembering that you had to move the decimal point all the way to the end of that 1860, which meant then you'd have to move it to the end of that 269.70, because you gotta move it 2 places for each of them. Put it up top and just go on and divide. Okay. A lot of times you'll get questions like 11 and 12, which don't require that you do the math, but it requires that you know what you would have to do the math. It gives you choices of what to do. We have not gone over these parentheses yet, but anytime a number is right next to a parentheses, what do you have to do with those numbers? Multiply. When it's right next to parentheses, it means to multiply, okay? So if you didn't know that, now you do. So let's look, and it says Santa drove, and look, it's so close to the season. When I first read that, I read Santa. I'm waiting for Santa to drive his sleigh. It's coming up, it's coming up. Santa drove for 2.5 hours at an average speed of 60 miles per hour, and for 1.5 hours at an average speed of 48 miles per hour. It's a lot in that first sentence, but it says for 2.5 hours. See, I'm going to break it down to where I can understand it, and that's what you have to do when you're reading these word problems. You have to say, okay, they said all that, what does it mean? It says, okay, she drove for 2.5 hours at 60 miles an hour. That means every hour she drove, she would have driven 60 miles. So if she drove for 2.5 hours, she drove 60 miles 2.5 times, right? Okay. Then she drove an hour and a half at an average speed of 48 miles per hour. So for another hour and a half, she was doing 48 miles every hour. And they want to know her total distance. Well, that's adding them all up, right? So I need to know how much is that 60 times 2.5 added to 48 times 1.5, right? So then I'm going to look now to find out which one of those things just said what I just said I needed to know. Everybody look at all of them and decide which one is what we just said. 2 people said number 1. 3 people said number 1. That's 3/5 of the class. 60%. 0.60. Okay, number 2 says you're going to add the 2.5 plus the 1.5. That's the number of hours that she drove. So now we know she drove 4 hours. Then you're going to add that to 60 miles and then to 48 miles. Is that going to give you your answer?
Yeah.
For how many miles she drove? Think about it. 2.5 hours. Does that have anything to do with miles? When you add 2.5 plus 1.5, you're going to add the hours to the miles to find out how many miles she drove?
You know, that's number 1.
Yeah, it is.
I was looking at that wrong.
But think about what you said, and if sometimes what I would even do, if I wasn't sure, I'd figure out how many miles she drove. And then I'd go through each one of these and figure out which one of these came up with the same answer.
See, the thing is, like, I know how to do it, but when you look at it, when they lay it out like that,
And that's why you have to figure out, and that's why we didn't look at it first. That's why the first thing you have to do is figure out what has to happen.
right.
Then you have to look there and see which one of those things is saying what you said. And so what we said is that we have to multiply 2.5 times 60 and then add it to 1.5 times 48. You remember we said that at first, right? So first of all, we're looking for something that has, so I could see you saying number 2 because you did see this added to that. But what's being added is the 2.5 times 60. Well, they don't have anything times anything in number 2. In number 2, they're adding everything together, you see?
Right.
Number 1 has 2.5 with a 60 next to it in parentheses. That means 2.5 times 60. Then it says plus you have a 1.5 with a 48 in parentheses. That means 1.5 times 48. And then add them together. Number 3 says you're gonna say the 60 miles an hour times the 48 miles an hour times 4 times is not gonna tell the distance that they drove, you see. You gotta first figure